DonInLondon, good morning. May 27th, bank holiday weekend coming up, end of month. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance and behaviour. I want to read from the Desiderata of Happiness this morning first, before I go any further. And I guess if I read this every morning, it may shed a little bit more perspective on my life. So I shall carry on in the usual form after this. Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater or lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, and you have the right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labours and aspirations. In the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. Written by Max Ehrmann in the mid-20s, 1920s, many years ago. So my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. And Desiderata, I feel, was probably an influence on those who first formed the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. It's the fellowship which I found, in the end, kept me sober one day at a time. And that's all I need, a one-day programme to be sober today. And I'm relieved about that, because if I thought I had to do it for a lifetime, I guess I might struggle desperately to understand it's okay to be me. I'm just learning life, striving to be happy, and being myself as much as I can be. So, how did I get here? Well, 35 years of drinking, 35 years of confusion about what I thought I ought to be, trying to fit in desperately so that people would like me, so I could be a part of, recognised, have status, I guess, and all the materialistic toys that are available to us. Yet, nothing seemed to provide happiness, because inside I was always in turmoil, fearful of something, fear of being found out, feeling less than, and putting on a brave face so that if you hurt me I wouldn't show it. And of course ego came into this too, the brittle ego of a person who strives a lot but is not sure what their lot in life may be. So drink was very attractive as a proposition. It made me feel happy, appropriately I thought. It made me go outwardly and be a part of the world. It made me feel that it was possible to find out who I could be. So all of those things stood in its favour. But the problem with alcohol and any other substance where it changes our feelings, or we fix our feelings with a substance, or we fix our feelings with behaviour, it's not real. We're just fixing what we think we ought to be. So there are no do's or don'ts when it comes to who we are. We just keep on learning life if we're lucky, and we make the best of what is, make the best of the possibilities, make the best of life as it can be, rather than wishing it were different. And it took me a long time, 35 years, keeping the company of people who drank quite a lot, and then me becoming dependent in the last few, and then finally addicted, where I could not stop drinking on my own. And the good news was my family, friends, community, medical people kept me alive long enough for that moment of clarity, where I felt life could get no worse. And certainly I had not got any idea of how to stop drinking on my own. I was judgmental of every cure out there, because it didn't seem to be quick, and it didn't seem to fix me. Fixing myself was always the name of the game, through people, places, things, relationships, work, career, right toys, right amount of money, right amount of house, right amount of car, but never quite enough, because I never felt quite good enough. If I had the next right thing, then maybe I would have made it. But it was exhausting, and tired out, I fell over, had a nervous breakdown, quit drinking before it, and quit drinking for quite a while after it, but eventually going back to drink because it was a quick fix. It made me able to show up for life again in some form or other, and at night seek oblivion from the desperate sadness that maybe life wasn't quite what it ought to be, because I didn't know who I was and how I fitted in. So this fellowship, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, been around since the mid-1920s and 30s, started up and grew from a small beginning into something fairly large. But the point of the fellowship is, for me, it's full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they will about their recovery, and I speak where I will about my recovery. There's no laws or rules to obey. It's simply a fellowship founded on love, mainly love of people for each other, without conditions, without putting rules or laws on them, free to find out how to be sober one day at a time. So how do I explain that more fully? Well, the AA preamble on this little card, freely available in meetings for newcomers, and a few pennies if you have them, reads as this: AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that's it. Only requirement for membership, a desire to stop drinking, and it's not affiliated to anything, but everybody in the fellowship is affiliated, has opinions, has ideas, has faith, has courage around what is important to them. So we hear a lot about what other people are doing by sharing experience, strength and hope, and we take from it the wisdom that we feel might be appropriate in our own lives. So not everything we hear in the rooms of AA will be suitable for us, and not everything will fit with our outlook, but we're there for one reason: a desire to be sober. And on an individual basis, the 12 steps help us become open, honest and willing to change our attitude and behaviour to the good of living, rather than falling back into relapse or slipping or going out there and drinking again and facing death. Certainly we face spiritual oblivion because we just cannot cope with reality. And the 12 traditions which hold the fellowship together around unity, service and recovery, founded on love, and not about acquiring status, position, or anything else. So for the individual, open, honest and willing; for the fellowship, unity, service and recovery, which is why there are no laws or rules to obey. It's by choice, freedom to find who we are, freedom of choice, the ultimate freedom to be ourselves, as was intended by nature, providence, or whatever you feel it may be. And I share here from Daily Reflections and other books, and the reason why I picked that to start with, the desiderata of happiness, I'll explain a little bit further. But today's reading for May 27th, this bank holiday weekend, it says here, no maudlin guilt. Day by day we try to move a little towards God's perfection, so we need not be consumed by maudlin guilt. And that was written by Bill Wilson. And it goes on to say, when I first discovered that there is not a single don't in the 12 steps of AA, that's for 12 steps to live life free, I was disturbed because this discovery swung open a giant portal. Only then was I able to realise that what AA is for me. And it goes on to say, AA is not a program of don'ts but do's. AA is not martial law, it is freedom. AA is not tears over defects of character, but sweat over fixing them or improving our outlook. I'm not so keen on the word fixing. It means a lot these days when it didn't when it was first written. AA is not penitence, it is salvation. AA is not woe to me for my sins, past and present. AA is praise God, or whatever your higher power may be, for the progress I am making today. So no maudlin guilt. And it's not about anything but freedom for me. And I was asked a question yesterday, and it is a bugbear. And you know I say it often, that there are no laws or rules to obey in AA. But there are social understandings probably that we take into the fellowship around how we treat each other with respect, and as individuals, that every person is allowed their own outlook. Not allowed, but follows their own outlook, because that's what is necessary. To be open, honest and willing, to be trusting, to be trusted, to be a part of. So yesterday asked the question again. There is one tradition particularly which maybe has an argument in it, which I understand fully, and everybody understands fully in their own way, and it's tradition 11, which follows into tradition 12. And it says here, tradition 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio and films. Now, tradition 11, written many years ago, but it doesn't mean it's invalid completely, or that I want to invalidate it at all. It says this, our public relations policy, that's the fellowship of AA, not me, is based on attraction rather than promotion. So for me, attraction is what you see is what you get, and that's what my videos are all about. Not so much what you see of me is what you get, but what you see in the fellowship of AA is what you get. So attraction is what you see is what you get, rather than promotion. A promotion is a guarantee, an offer, on offer today. And I guess we do offer sobriety on a daily basis, but it's not something which is free in the sense that you just sit there and wait for it to happen. There is action required. So if anybody said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed that path, the answer is true. That can be true. But at the same time, I've seen often people fail who have tried to follow the path, and that is being truthful as well, because promotion suggests that it's a guarantee, and there are no guarantees in life. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio and films. Well, I've always questioned that, and it's always been a bone of contention. But if these are suggestions and not rules and laws, I'm doing nothing wrong. And it's tradition 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. And I guess that is true too, because what I know is, as social networking, the internet has provided a complete equalising of opportunity to share experience, strength and hope. There is nothing to stop anyone sharing as they choose about their understanding of recovery and how it works. And after all, it is by sharing experience, strength and hope that we are able to find a way to be sober today. So I am not the only voice in recovery, and I'm not using this as a vehicle for my own personal aggrandisement. I'm doing it for my own benefit as much as anything, and because I was asked to do it, to share a message of experience, strength and hope. So anonymity within the rooms of AA is sacrosanct to me. It's like going to a doctor or a psychiatrist or a counsellor, or seeing your priest in a confessional. It's a place where you can share the absolute truth as you understand it today of what is going on, so that we can find expression in a safe place. So why was it necessary, or felt necessary, to say anonymity at the level of press, radio and films? It was to stop big shotism, to say my brand of AA is better than your brand of AA, or I'm in AA so therefore you can trust me again. It doesn't work that way. The fellowship of AA is only a small part of most people's life, and is not necessarily important or useful to them if they're not an alcoholic. But if you are an alcoholic and you want information about the fellowship, I can only encourage you to go to meetings on a daily basis to see the difference daily. What you see is what you get. So part of me is saying it's okay to share experience, strength and hope wherever you like, because the way press, radio and film and the internet work these days, nobody is going to be a big shot for declaring their part in fellowship as simply one more person who goes. There is no kudos other than a realization that sobriety is better than drinking, finding oblivion and an early death. And I like to make that very clear, because AA is not about shaping you into a particular type of person. It's about being sober and finding out the person you can be. And desiderata, those words, I can't imagine why they were never so important as they are now to me. But I used to have a poster on my wall in the 1960s with this on it, and for some reason I just was attracted to the ideas. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labours and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. And for me, those words resonate always inside me now. And I ought to read it more often. I don't read it every day. Maybe I'll put it on the wall somewhere so I can contemplate it each time I wake up. But when I wake up, I find that if I say to myself, how am I feeling, why, and what can I do, it's a good place to start, because it says, I'm saying to myself, what is my spiritual condition? What is reality today? What is the reality of me? And what do I have planned, if anything? Well, I do have plans, and I'll see how they go. So, at the end of these videos, I share the Serenity Prayer to the God of your understanding, or simply good conscience. It's your faith and your belief which counts in your recovery, not my faith and belief. And that's the respectfulness of letting people, or being with people who let us be ourselves. Not imposing, not saying it should be this way. It's never about that. The Serenity Prayer to God, or in good conscience: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, for me, in the moment, and just for today. Don in London, hello. May 27th, 2009. Where has May gone? My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addiction substance was alcohol. My behaviour could be anything which I could cross-addict to, namely work, workaholic, relationships, relationshipaholic, gymaholic, you name it. And I guess it was all about filling the gap inside, whatever was ailing me, making me fearful, putting on a brave face, and living on brittle ego, which could be cracked very easily. I was easily sensitive to what was going on around me, and I thought the world probably evolved or revolved around me. And of course that's a bit silly, and I don't know if I really thought that through, but you know what, I only had one purpose, and that was to be okay and look okay, how it might show up to other people, and I learned that along the way. How will it show up to others? And the simple answer is, if we live our lives by trying to show up for others in the way that they want us, we are never ever going to meet their needs or our own, because we don't have an identity. So the gift for me really in recovery is to find my identity simply on a daily basis and learn how to live without resorting back to alcohol or behaviour which is unhelpful, that is repetitive behaviour which becomes an addiction. So there's a middle ground between doing nothing and being all in, I guess. If we're all in and are single-minded, we don't have anything coming back at us which we can absorb. And the difficulty is, when we get into addiction, all we need to do is satisfy and process those addictive qualities to substance or behaviour, and then we wonder why we don't feel quite right. And that's simply because we haven't got a breadth of vision which would help us. So these days I learn how to get vision from other people and how to live well by learning wisdom as I go. So, into my 50s, learning wisdom as I go, and I hope it's the same every single day from now on. And really, routine, self-maintenance around having a program which helps us see the world as it is, realistically, what is reality, and then trying not to put any more filters in the way, like a substance or behaviour. So if I go to the gym and do 30 days in a row and work out, I don't, by the way, I've stopped doing that, I can't do it, but I would actually start to focus singularly on that particular activity. And human beings thrive on diversity and difference, and that doesn't mean that we are prejudiced against diversity and difference. It's we learn what is right for us. And I went to a good meeting last night of Alcoholics Anonymous, the fellowship that helps me do the rest of my life. So I lean on fellowship rather than people, and there's nobody in AA bigger or smaller than me. We all have our outlook, unique or authentic. So we go into meetings that way and come out with a bit more wisdom maybe on how to make life work, or hear something which is really useful. On the other hand, we might hear something which is absolutely useless to us because we're not in the same place as that person. So we have to still use our common sense, our good conscience, and hope that we're on the right path. And if we make mistakes, we're merely making progress, not to perfection, but to understand how life can be just in one day. So that's not easy. And you know, if it hadn't been for AA, I wouldn't have been alive long enough to get type 1 diabetes, which is not actually part of my lifestyle. It's not impacted by my lifestyle in the past. I just got it type 1 out of the blue. And it's not that rare these days, apparently. And at the same time as that, I got help understanding that I do have clinical depression. So the gift is, I got sober, I've got some other ailments to deal with. So triumvirate, if you like, of three things to be aware of on a daily basis: how to be sober, how to keep on track with type 1 diabetes, and how to deal with clinical depression, especially when I go into the pit, that desolate place in the darkness. And I had 3 or 4 months of that at the beginning of the year, simply because I needed to change medications to do with diabetes and make sure they weren't contraindicated. So now I'm back in a fairly stable position where life is happening normally, and that's extraordinary. Anyway, my videos, recovery, sharing stuff that's in the fellowship of AA. I don't speak for it, never will, and I cannot speak for other people in the fellowship simply because they have their own voice if they choose to use it. And also, people need to know that their anonymity is sacrosanct. You know, anonymity is the sanctuary which enables us to find the truth of ourselves in the fellowship and then be authentic and unique people in daily life. That's what it's about for me. So AA, the preamble which is shared at every meeting, slows me into the moment and goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So it has no outside interests. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And you know, the program or the fellowship is around 12 steps, which is there, and 12 traditions. And the 12 steps is about attitude and behavioural change for individuals. So there are 12 steps to learn about, and then to put them into practice. And then there are 12 traditions which hold the fellowship together. And 12 steps are about open, honest and willing to endeavour in life. And the traditions about unity, service and recovery. So fellowship meetings are the foundation mostly of most people's recovery. And doing the steps helps this. But it's a personal choice. And one of the things I heard last night in the meeting, which was really, really important, the person started by saying, well, you know, some parts of the literature I don't get on with, namely the big book, and he's not the only one. But at the same time, I know that a lot of people get a lot of help from just reading that big blue book, the AA book, which I have here. Ta-da! And the AA big book is quite thick, but it was called a big book because it was made out of rag paper to start with, and it was very thick, and it's still thick. It's got over 500 pages, but we don't have to read it all at once, and that's like the steps and everything. We learn to go at our own pace, so people are unique, learning in the place where they are now. And the one thing we can say in common is, for today, this is how we can keep in recovery, and that is what it's all about. 24 hours or less, we can start again and make as many mistakes as we need, hopefully with the guidance of a program which keeps us open, honest and willing. And daily reflections, this book which I share here has a reading for today, which is No Maudlin Guilt. Day by day, we try to move a little toward God's perfection, or good conscience, or whatever it is that you see as a power in your life which gives you wisdom. So we need not be consumed by maudlin guilt. When I first discovered there is not a single don't in the 12 steps of AA, I was disturbed because this discovery swung open a giant portal, only when I was able to realise what AA is for me. And it goes on to say, AA is not a program of don'ts but do's. AA is not martial law, it is freedom. AA is not tears over defects, but sweat over fixing them. AA is not penitence, it is salvation. AA is not woe to me for my sins past and present. AA is, praise God, good conscience or your higher power, for progress I am making today. And that's the simple gift. We just make progress and we're not perfect. And step 5, May, is all about sharing our fearless moral inventory, which is step 4, with another person and to our good conscience or God. And the gift, really, I can't go into the reading as Bill sees it on this video, there's not enough time. But the gift is this: if we are able to face the worst fear of what we might be found out for and share it with another human being who we trust. So, often if we actually ask ourselves, what is the worst thing somebody could know about me from my past? And share it, we find that it's not unusual, that there is a word for it, and multi-millions have done it before. So we learn gradually how to be. So the Serenity Prayer at every meeting, and also I chant it in the mornings myself when I'm not quite sure where I am. It goes like this, and it's to God or good conscience or your higher power. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, all in one day hopefully, and we make progress and we're never perfect. That is not the aim, it's to live for today.